as Descartes' idea that animals act and survive solely through instinct rather than through conscious thought and emotion has been increasingly discredited over the past several decades. It's beginning to dawn on us just how much conscious thought and emotional intelligence is required, not just to survive in the world, but to thrive and to produce generation after generation of individuals who can do the same. In an unpredictable world, we are now recognizing just how much animals in the wild have to plan for the future and learn from the past, making flexible decisions based on their environmental circumstances, with an awareness of goals, outcomes, and risks, and timing their movements with great precision. This complex thinking about the past and future is linked to complex emotional experiences. From planning birth to grieving death, from worrying about the future to feeling regret for the past, from anticipation to frustration and disappointment, from gratitude to vengeance, from hope and optimism to pessimism and despair, from ambition and purpose to the desire for control and autonomy, from flexible decision-making to bravery and risk-taking. The following videos will delve further into the complexity of the emotional lives of animals. Our awareness of the necessity for conscious thinking and survival emerged from the recognition that nearly every facet of animal existence is acquired through learning. Animals teach each other everything about how to live, where to go, what to eat, how to find mates, where to find breeding grounds, and how to raise young. Which is why reintroducing animals born in captivity into the wild has had low success rates. And for animals who manage to survive, success rates in finding mates and raising young are even lower. Reintroduction success is improved by providing individuals with education programs that teach everything from avoiding predation, foraging, interacting in social groups, courtship and mating, habitat selection, and learning movement and migration routes. This is a long and extensive education, which can take years, just as it does for free-living animals learning from their own communities. Young animals don't just learn how to survive the days, but how to survive over months, seasons, years. And through different ages and stages of development, their culture spans their entire lifetime. The amount of complex cultural knowledge that must be learned and used flexibly over time and space is finally being recognized. The ability to track animals over long periods of time revealed how complex their movements are and how greatly we had underestimated their awareness of time and space. With the ability to time their migrations and use cultural knowledge flexibly to make decisions about where and when to migrate. Recent studies find that many animals alter the timing, direction, and duration of yearly migrations in response to environmental fluctuations. These are conscious decisions made by individuals. And individual decision-making is far more prevalent than once thought. The ability to radio track more animals over longer time spans has uncovered far more variation in individual behavior than previously recognized. Populations even within the same species and geographic area can exhibit markedly different variations. Some individuals go so far as to alternate between migratory and non-migratory behavior. Individuals who choose not to migrate still retain relevant knowledge and can resume the behavior in future years. Social migratory animals with knowledge of past behaviors may naturally restore lost migrations if conditions again become beneficial, whereas loss of cultural knowledge can impede or eliminate the possibility of reestablishing migrations. Successful restorations typically entail animals learning not to migrate along a fixed path at a predetermined time, but rather to actively perceive and respond to their environment. Young whooping cranes migrated more efficiently and effectively when they learned flexible behaviors from more experienced conspecifics. Successful restoration efforts also incorporate information about from whom animals learn. In many social species, a small number of individuals disproportionately influence population behavior by acting as group leaders. The importance of individual leadership is increasingly recognized in behavioral ecology and holds particular promise for informing efforts to revive lost migrations. Animals survive by learning cultural information about environments, often spanning thousands of miles, and using this information to make flexible decisions, taking into account both space and time. This requires an incredible amount of complex thinking and flexible intelligence. Animal intelligence was long underestimated because researchers were observing animals in captivity who had lost their culture. Early researchers accused animals of being incapable of thinking, but animals in captivity have very little to think about. In the wild, they have a lot to think about, and they make decisions daily, monthly, yearly, big decisions that can mean life or death for them or their young. Knowledge equals survival. Cultural knowledge is shared and updated, and social animals pool their knowledge and often make decisions together. Social animals rely on the cultural knowledge of others to survive. And the more they learn from others, the better they become at thinking strategically and becoming leaders. If you place a horse raised in captivity, in the wild he is lost. But if he's accepted into a group with cultural knowledge, he will learn what to do, where to go, and when. He will learn where to travel throughout the seasons based on memory, just as groups of zebras, sheep, moose, elk, and bison do. And with the knowledge he acquires, he'll make decisions for the future. This capacity for future planning, now recognized in wild living animals, is also present in captive living animals, even though they rarely get the chance to demonstrate it. Scientists have designed behavioral experiments proving that horses can plan ahead and think strategically. The capacity to think, plan, and make decisions that has been denied to other species is now being recognized in both mammals and birds as fundamental to their survival. The capacity to detect, learn, and use temporal information is an essential and basic process of animal behavior and learning. When we see a bird in captivity, removed from his culture, we might assume he is not thinking. But that same bird, raised within his culture, would have a lot to think about and a lot to learn. He wouldn't just be learning what to eat, where to live, and how to avoid predators. He'd be learning how to communicate, how to construct sentences, or sing duets, how to claim territory, where to go to meet others or get information, how to find mates and where to raise young. The same bird that we might see as simple-minded in captivity is capable of learning and teaching complex information, including travel routes spanning thousands of miles, and using this information to make conscious decisions throughout the seasons. This is true for birds across the species. Penguins can make individual decisions about where they travel to feed, breed, or nest, with some choosing to travel a few hundred kilometers, some up to 17,000 kilometers, and some choosing to stay put. This individual decision-making is also seen in seagulls. Some choose to remain residents in their host countries. Some simply move inland in the winter. Some migrate using their full range of geographical knowledge, which can be thousands of miles. And some seek new frontiers. Individual gulls were found to wander extensively, with some covering colossal distances of 7,500 miles. The migratory patterns of gulls are not fixed. They tend to go as far as they need to find food and warmer roosting accommodation. Communal roosts act as information hubs for distributing knowledge about food source location. Animals group together to survive and share vital information. Communal roosts, breeding colonies, and certain other bird assemblages have evolved by serving as information centers. Younger and less dominant individuals join the roost because they gain some safety from predation, as well as the ability to learn from the more experienced foragers that are already in the roost. Both knowledgeable and naive birds are shown to make up the roosts and leave them at the same time, with the naive birds being led to the food sources. With a greater number of individuals at a roost, the searching range of a roost will increase and improve the probability of finding favorable foraging sites. There are also potentially improved mating opportunities, and they may have a portion of a communal roost dedicated to individuals that lack mates and territories. Some birds form communal roosts during the winter months. 2 or 3 individuals may share a cavity during the winter to share their body heat with each other. Up to 12,000 individuals have been found roosting communally in caves, and individuals may return to the same caves within and between years. Individuals choose which nesting colonies to travel to. Colonies can range from a few individuals to tens of thousands. Birds can make individual decisions about who they want to nest with. Some choose to join colonies, and some choose to nest independently. Parrots from the same species may breed solitarily or form colonies ranging from a few pairs to many thousands. Forming large groups helps them protect the territory. Some build a communal nest, and each pair leases an apartment. Sparrows nest close to others, forming colonies with around 40 birds, but after breeding season may join flocks of up to 10,000 birds. Information can spread quickly in larger groups, and studies found sparrows solve problems faster in large groups. Large animal groups outperform smaller ones at problem-solving tasks where they have to invent new techniques. because they're more likely to contain a diverse range of individuals, some of whom will be very good at problem solving. A far cry from Descartes' animal automism. Animals are congregating, sharing knowledge, and teaching each other how to survive. They are learning about environments across time and using their knowledge to make individual decisions. In storks, migration and residency appear to be alternative choices adopted by different individuals. The different strategies in storks are an adaptation to unpredictability of resource availability within their range. Storks may move depending on the rain. The existence of different migratory strategies within the population also suggests that wood storks may behave as comparison shoppers when selecting general areas for nesting on any given year. Animals even adapt when they breed depending on the weather conditions. For example, Australian ibis in the south generally breed from August to November, while in the north, breeding season takes place from February to May, after the wet season. Most adult birds are sedentary, but populations that live in southwestern Australia are partially migratory. The individual choices for migration to different nesting sites, breeding grounds, and feeding grounds show that animals are making conscious and flexible decisions. Partial migration has been increasingly recognized as a widespread form of migration across taxa, if not the most common. The realization that animals make individual and community-informed decisions about when, where, and how to breed and raise young must shift our whole perspective on animal consciousness. Animals are adapting their behavior over the years and making flexible decisions to improve their breeding success. The idea that animals are making these calculated decisions without any awareness of why they are making them doesn't add up. For animals to make these decisions, they have to be aware of their goal, or purpose. The purpose of animal cultures, which they succeed at where reintroduced animals fail, is to produce new generations. Just as animals learn the practical elements of their culture, they also learn the psychological elements, such as purpose. Young animals born into these cultures are not just learning the practical elements of survival over time and space, such as seasonal foraging and migration routes. They are also learning the social elements of culture over time and space, such as social roles and social purpose, spanning the lifetime of a social animal. They learn about social rules, rituals, and hierarchies. They learn about the identity, personality, age, gender, and relationships of others. They learn about the social roles of self and others. They learn about mate choice and mating rituals. They learn about birth and raising young. Just as with practical knowledge, they learn through observation and experience. They watch others in courting, mating, child-rearing. Living amongst individuals of every age, status, and stage of life, social animals witness the life cycles of social groups. The cultural lives of animals go much deeper than learning the practical aspects. They learn their purpose, which is to raise new generations in the best possible way, as they have been doing for countless generations prior, and to pass their culture on to them. Just as with cultural learning in practical life skills, learning about social roles and purpose also begins early. Soon after they are born, they start learning the identity of others in their social group. Just like us, they use their senses to recognize their own species and to recognize the age or sex of others in their group. Dogs detect age and sex through smell. Animals determine the age of potential mates through their sense of smell, hearing, and sight. Many animals, including mice, deer, otters, owls, and rabbits, can smell age. Mice can distinguish between 3 to 10 months old and more than 17 months old by smell. Young animals of the same age or sex often congregate into groups. Adolescent dolphins congregate in separate groupings called juvenile pods. This will occur once a calf is old enough to leave its mother. These adolescents will learn the rules, rituals, and purpose of social life as an adult. They will learn social conventions and gender roles, and can spend years working their way up the social ladder, preparing for mating, finding territories, raising young, and they do these things consciously. Learning is becoming conscious of, and young animals will become conscious of all these things as they develop and learn about them. Educated adults are conscious of the naivety of youngsters, which is why they teach them everything they need to learn in successive order. From learning what to eat, how to avoid danger, or how to swim, to learning migration routes and mating rituals such as duet singing and songbirds. The social group is aware of the life stage of youngsters, and extended relatives, and sometimes even unrelated individuals, help raise and care for young until they are of an independent age. Many animals babysit, including primates, penguins, polar bears, lionesses, and dogs. Together, multiple generations of wolves share offspring care and support the health and well-being of the entire pack. Animals of every age are often drawn to the babies of the group. Just like us, they have specific forms of communication and gesture for babies. And youngsters are exempt from social rules, as they haven't learned them yet. As they become adolescents, they often have to establish themselves in their herd or social group. The awkwardness of growing up is not just a physical phenomenon. It's social and chemical as well. Humans aren't the only creatures to experience dramatic changes as they mature. Animals go through a kind of puberty too. While hormones bring on new urges, they have to learn there are rules and competition in mating, as well as rituals, skills, and territories needed for winning over mates. As adolescents become adults, they learn where they fit into the social hierarchy. Males may join groups to learn from older males. Young mouflon sheep take 7 years learning how to become adults, who will be allowed to mate. They learn fighting and courtship skills, and social information about the status and territorial rights of other males. Male deer often hang out together in groups called bachelor herds in the summer. The young males learn about the competition for mates that begins later in the year. They learn about their own chances for mating, and if mate competition is just too fierce, they may leave and seek a territory of their own. The process of mating and raising young is a complex process that animals learn. And the fact that they go through it more than once means that they learn from their first efforts. There is a lot to learn from past experience. They learn to change everything, from choosing different habitats to give birth in. For example, animals who have lost young to predators in one location will find an alternative location for their next birth. To choosing the right materials for building nests. For example, researchers found birds base their material selection decisions in part on their experience. During second breeding attempts, birds who were successful the first time will build with familiar material over a novel material, and birds who were unsuccessful will avoid the familiar material and incorporate novel material. Experience and knowledge of the territory are also important for success, and breeding pairs fledged more young when the breeding male had many years of experience on the territory. They don't just learn from their own successes or failures in the past, but also from observing the breeding success of others. Birds monitor the reproduction success of other birds to decide where to nest. And they can learn about what nest to build from watching others. Some birds figure out the best place to live by eavesdropping on the singing of others that have successfully had baby birds. A communication and behavioral trait so strong that researchers playing recorded songs induce them to nest in places they otherwise would have avoided, suggesting that songbirds have more complex communication abilities than had previously been understood. The amount of learning from experience and flexible decision-making that goes into giving birth and raising young shows that animals are highly conscious of the process. Like all important events in the cultural lives of animals living in the wild, giving birth and raising young successfully requires planning. Animals plan and prepare for birth in many different ways. In the weeks leading up to birth, lemur mothers build nests in trees, like birds. And some mothers, but not all, end up moving in and creating communal nests to cooperatively raise offspring. While 2 or 3 mothers are off fulfilling other needs, one will stay behind to babysit and protect infants in the nest, including those that are not her own. The availability of food often determines when lemurs will reproduce. When food supplies are short, they will avoid breeding. Females give birth all at the same time, likely triggered by a bountiful harvest. Such fruity abundance doesn't occur every year, and the lemurs may go for 6 years without having babies. Squirrels plan their litters based on predicted food availability. Their forward-thinking powers are so great that they assess everything, from the longevity of stored food to predicted competition in the area at that future time. Studies found they coordinate their litters based on anticipation of nut yields. Squirrels predict how abundant their food supply will be the following year and coordinate a second litter to be born during times of bountiful harvests. Others will choose not to reproduce if there are too many predators in the area. Researchers played a soundtrack of predator vocalizations to adult sparrows and found that a fear of phantom predators caused sparrows to produce 53% fewer offspring than the birds that didn't hear the scary soundtrack. Animals are highly conscious of predators during pregnancy and birth. The experience of calf loss to predators changes females' birth site selection the following year. Moose who have lost a calf to wolves will move 5 kilometers away to give birth the next year. Mouflon sheep make different decisions when they are pregnant, when balancing up risks and benefits in habitats such as highest nutrition versus predator risk. Potential predation pressure overrides increased nutrient demands during late stages of pregnancy. Other studies indicate that fallow deer adapt their maternal behavior to the prevailing predator pressure, which may even supersede forage availability. Predator avoidance is a culturally learned behavior, and animals are highly conscious of predators from the time they become pregnant to the time they give birth. Animals giving birth first seek visual cover and safety from predators. Deer, pronghorn, elk, wild mouflon sheep, bovines, and moose favor thick vegetative cover to give birth in. Cover is an important part of birth site selection, and parturient females only relocate long distances in situations where physical cover is limited. Thompson's gazelle females spent considerable time searching for a suitable place to give birth, sometimes traveling more than a kilometer. The mother herself is conspicuous to predators, and if she can't find vegetative cover to hide her baby, she will distance herself from it so as not to draw attention to it. As the mother was unable to visually hide the offspring, she increased the distance to the offspring, seemingly to compensate for the lack of vegetative cover. This flexible behavior, depending on the circumstances, shows that they are making conscious decisions based on what predators can see, theory of mind. Sheep and cattle in captivity are less inclined to separate from the herd to give birth, likely due to the fact that they are less fearful of predators than their wild counterparts and more stressed by social isolation, as suggested for sheep. Other animals in the group show interest in others' births, such as sniffing and licking in cows. Elephants gather around the mother giving birth to protect her and help the calf. It is important to have other females available to a mother dolphin. Female dolphins have been seen assisting in birth and more consistently as babysitters or aunties helping to rear young dolphins. After their first pregnancy and birth experience, animals learn the process, and as they may give birth every year, they become more and more experienced, with the ability to help others. Researchers showed that the general features defining traditional birth attendants in humans can also be identified in bonobos. As in humans, birth in bonobos was a social event where female attendants provided protection and support to the parturient until the infant was born. Bystander females helped the parturient during the expulsive phase by performing manual gestures aimed at holding the infant. Other researchers found that black and white snub-nosed monkeys also assist others with birth, and witnessed a langur monkey being assisted in her birth by another female. This other female was 14 years old and had already given birth 5 times previously. It is now well established that animals culturally learn from experience and from observing others. And they learn about pregnancy, birth, and reproduction in the same way, through observation and experience. Animals learn about the breeding process and have a conscious awareness of it. Species with acute senses may be more aware of it than we are. Some rodents can smell pregnancy through changes in urine odor. Dogs can likely sense pregnancy in others, including humans, due to their keen sense of smell and ability to detect hormonal changes. Veterinarian Dr. Camille Allender says, "People absolutely have reported that they knew they were pregnant because their dog began to act differently. A lot of people report that dogs will become more clingy or more protective." Experts believe dolphins can see fetuses because they have the ultrasonic ability to, and will sometimes approach pregnant women, making ultrasonic buzzing sounds. Lemurs have such an acute sense of smell, researchers have found that not only can they likely smell pregnancy, but can also distinguish if the baby-to-be is a boy or a girl. The magnitude of the differences between odors of not pregnant, pregnant with a son, and pregnant with a daughter are well within lemurs' range of ability to detect, which suggests that the mothers and their lovers likely can smell the difference. It would be very odd for them not to be able to smell it, based on all of the prior experiments. A conscious awareness of pregnancy and child rearing underpins the emotional, social lives of animals and is an integral factor in decision-making and cultural learning. Learning how to raise and protect the youngsters of their group is a central part of animal culture. One of the best ways a female dolphin can learn how to care for a calf is to be around a baby and other more experienced females. Young females learn by helping mothers and babysitting. Female cows take turns to babysit the youngsters, and herds form protective circles around the young. Zebra groups have a choreographed response to predators. They stay organized to prevent the lion from isolating the weakest link. Mothers and babies are at the front, non-lactating females are distributed in the middle, while the male is most vulnerable at the rear. Learning child rearing by helping others increases individuals' chances of success when they become mothers themselves. Researchers found that tamarins who have helped other mothers raise their infants have greater reproductive success when they become parents than individuals that do not have previous infant care experience. Some animals may decide to forego breeding and help others raise their young instead, if there is a shortage of high-quality territories or mates. There is good evidence that young birds weigh the benefit of staying home and helping against the benefits of settling in available, lower-quality territories. Offspring from prior years may remain near their parents and help rear younger siblings until better breeding options come along. This cooperative breeding appears to be a choice that some individuals make sometimes, and they may even stay to help raise unrelated birds. Occasional cooperative breeding has been observed in swans, blue tits, white storks, terns, and sparrows. In these species, helpers are most likely unrelated to the breeders. Whether animals decide to raise their own young or stay and help others raise theirs is a flexible decision based on available resources and territory. For young squirrels to get to the stage of life needed to raise young, they must first secure territory. Luck and birth privilege both play a part in their success. A young squirrel lucky enough to take over territory from an adult male squirrel is like a teenager falling into a big inheritance. It's common for squirrels to take over the territories of other squirrels after they die, and in taking over another squirrel's territory, they also inherit their food stores. If a female squirrel is lucky enough to take over this prime real estate, then she will have lots of food, which allows her to breed earlier.